Hell, we'll go one way or another. I know it's not going to be perfect sound, but you know what? I hope that there is some sound. Let me try it out one more time again. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. There we go. We are back. I don't know what the hell happened right there, but hey, we're back. We're here. You know what? I'm going to go conspiracy theory now. That was the world not wanting me as a Dallas Cowboys fan to be happy. I am excited right now. The Dallas Cowboys have just traded to get George Pickens. We're going to the damn Super Bowl, baby. You can see it right here. Right here. The way that I am dressed, got the Romo jersey on, got my Dallas Cowboys hat on, the custom tippy Dallas Cowboys hat on. I am excited about this trade for the Dallas Cowboys. I see Gary is tuned in. I see Tommy is tuned in. The Crooked Commish is tuned in right now as well. I want your thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys trading a third round 2026 pick and a fifth round 2027 pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers to get George Pickens and a 2026 fifth round pick. Yes, the Dallas Cowboys have traded to get George Pickens, the wide receiver from the Pittsburgh Steelers. There was always the rumors that were surrounding him that he might be coming to the Dallas Cowboys. Once again, the Pittsburgh Steelers agreed to a trade on Wednesday that will send George Pickens to Dallas for a 2026 third round pick. The Cowboys will send a 2027 fifth round pick, and the Steelers will get a 2027 sixth round pick. That is exactly what the Dallas Cowboys needed. That is exactly what we were talking about with the Dallas Cowboys. They needed to have another major wide receiver for Dak Prescott to be alongside CeeDee Lamb. Gary Bryant saying, I love the trade. I don't care if it's for 1 year. Good trade for both teams. And I don't think it's going to be a 1 year trade, to be honest with you. I think that they might be able to find a way to work out a deal with George Pickens. He's not a number one receiver. And I think that that's what the issue was, is last year and his whole time in Pittsburgh, he had to be a number one guy. Now he can thrive being that number two guy. That's exactly what the Dallas Cowboys need. The Cricket Commission saying, are you surprised that they didn't make this trade before the draft? I'm not, because I think the Pittsburgh Steelers were still holding out hope that they'd get Aaron Rodgers. What I feel like this is I feel like this is Pittsburgh waving the white flag. We can finally say this is going to be the last year of Mike Tomlin. Now, who I feel bad for is DK Metcalf. Being traded over to Pittsburgh, you were hoping, if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, that maybe, just maybe, you get Aaron Rodgers, you have George Pickens, you have DK Metcalf, you go out, you draft some running backs. Like you think maybe, just maybe, there's the possibility that the Pittsburgh Steelers will be okay. Getting rid of George Pickens, to me, is a sign that it might be them waving the white flag. Look, Cincinnati's better. Baltimore's better. Cleveland is still going to be Cleveland, but are we okay being the third best team in the division? And I think with Pittsburgh, it might be time for them to just wave the white flag. It's going to be Mike Tomlin's last season with the Pittsburgh Steelers, as the Dallas Cowboys have traded to get wide receiver George Pickens from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tommy Kanata saying, I'm just glad they made it now, right? Like, I didn't want this to last deep into the season, because it was something that has been spoken about since the end of the draft, over the last couple of weeks, and maybe even a little prior to the draft, the Dallas Cowboys' interest in George Pickens. You have to be able to have, especially in the NFC East, you have to be able to have a viable offense, right? Like, with Pittsburgh, you're going, or with Philadelphia, you're going to have to put up points. With Washington, you're going to have to put up points. The Giants, maybe they got better too. They got better on defense. I like what the Cowboys did in free agency, addressing their defensive line. I like what they did in the draft, addressing their offensive line, their defensive line, getting some position players that they need. The question was yesterday, as we were talking about Jaden Blue being the Dallas Cowboys running back right now, and even if it's Williams or somebody else that the Cowboys got in free agency as well, even if it's one of those guys, now it makes it a little bit better for the Dallas Cowboys. The Crooked Commish saying, whoa, that's breaking news. I didn't hear that it was Tomlin's last season with Pitt. LOL. This is me saying that it's going to be that way. This is me saying that the white flag is being waved. For the first time in Pittsburgh Steelers history, the white flag is being waved. Want to give a shout out to the Death in the Hoodie podcast. Thank you so much for tuning into the show here. MCY Bother tuned in as well over on Instagram, and MTZ 1904 tuning in over on Instagram as well. Augustine asking, why are you wearing that thing? Because it's a good day. It's a good day to be a Dallas Cowboys fan. As Tommy Cananza says, let's effing go. Gary Bryant and Tommy Cananza excited about the fact that the Dallas Cowboys have George Pickens. We had the issue with volume for whatever reason. I'm not too sure what happened. I literally just refreshed the button and everything was good. Interesting how that all happened. The NFL didn't want me to be excited today. I guess that's what it is. Okay, so now that the Dallas Cowboys have George Pickens, what does this mean for the Dallas Cowboys? I think I'm about to jump all in. My question was, how are you going to be able to have a sustained offense with the Dallas Cowboys if you don't have a number 2 or hell, even a number 3 wide receiver? Augustine Pimentel saying, it's a good day, said the last 29 years, LOL. That has been a good day. Again, that's all it is. It's hope. It's just trafficking in hope. I hope that this winds up being a great trade for the Dallas Cowboys, for George Pickens, and not even the Steelers, because I hate that franchise. I'm just glad to see that the Dallas Cowboys were able to go out and get a second wide receiver option. We're able to go out and do something to make this offense just a little better. That's what the question was going to be. How can this offense be just a little better? There you go. And that's exactly what I was going to say, Tommy. It means that we have addressed almost all our needs, almost all the needs that the Dallas Cowboys had coming into the offseason has come up. The Crooked Commish asking, fantasy football-wise, how well do you think he plays better now that he's in the Big D? I think so. Because I think the issue that you had was he was a number 1 guy. He was a number 1 guy in Pittsburgh. And he had to be the main option. He was the guy getting double teamed. He was the guy getting triple teamed. He was getting fed the ball, like force fed the ball. Now he doesn't have to do that. I don't think he'll have the same amount of receptions. I don't think he's going to have triple digit receptions because he's going to be the number 2 in Dallas, but I expect him to have more touchdowns. I expect him to have more yards because now you can't double George Pickens. Now he has help. Now you're on a better team with a better offensive line and, in my opinion, a better quarterback than what he's had in his career. I like what that means fantasy football wise. Augustine saying that he doesn't want me to put up that comment, but I'm going to put up this comment. Sorry, Augustine. I'm going to do it anyway. Look at me. You're actually pre-reading things before I do it. Saying when the notification came up on his phone, it said that Sergio Robalí follows Tipton. Good guy. Missed that guy. Missed that guy 100% as well. Can't believe it's been over 3 years. Man, that's wild. I guess 4 years. Jesus, that's wild. That's wild how time flies. But I know that my guy would be looking down right now, excited as hell that the Dallas Cowboys have gotten George Pickens. Miss you, my dude, Sergio Robalí. We'll see you sometime down the road, my friend. Tommy Cananza says, I have a Steelers fan in front of me right now in traffic, just having himself a good old time. I hope you have like a Cowboys, like something Dallas Cowboys related on your car, on your person. You're wearing a hat, something like that, just so you could drive by him, look over and wave. Like, hey, did you hear the news? Did you hear the news? Tommy Cananza saying, let's be clear. This is the best wide receiver core we've had since Irvin and Harper. Man. I have to think about that, but I think maybe you're right. Like I would say CeeDee Lamb along with Amari Cooper was up there. Whenever Miles Austin was doing well with Patrick, well, I guess not. Yeah, you might be right. It's definitely got to be up there. The Dallas Cowboys doing a fantastic job. Our guy, Augustine Pimentel, saying he would be joining us for the all-you-can-eat plan. 100% he would. I still have that video. I haven't deleted any of the stuff that I have. If you don't remember who Sergio Robalí was, first off, shame on you. Secondly, he did a lot of stuff with us. We had our own wrestling podcast, things like that. And for me, he was just a great dude, a great friend, but my dude would always show up whenever the meal was ready. I know that much. Gary Bryant saying, no more excuses for Dak. You double CD, Pickens gets the opportunity to make plays. Seam routes open up for Jake Ferguson, passes to the running back out of the outfield. There are too many options on offense. I love that 100%. I agree with you. That was going to be the question with the Dallas Cowboys offense, right? Like you knew you had Ferguson, you knew you had CeeDee Lamb, and you were hoping that you would be okay with what was coming out of your backfield. Now you have a 3-weapon receiving core, minimum 3-weapon receiving core. Miles Sanders, when he comes out of the backfield, will be okay if he's still on the team. I have to double check and make sure, but I believe that he was. The Dallas Cowboys now have a viable offense. They have a good offensive line, right? That was the gemstone of the Dallas Cowboys. Now they go out, they draft Tyler Brooks, they draft him. They have themselves a good offensive line, enough to be able to block and defend for Dak Prescott so that he can get the ball down the field. You can't really double either wide receiver now. And that's what the Dallas Cowboys just protected themselves with. I like Jake Ferguson as a tight end. I think he's one of the more underrated tight ends in the NFL. I also like the depth that they have with Schoonmaker and all those. Like, I think the Dallas Cowboys will be fine. I love the addition of George Pickens because it allows the offense to be a little more dynamic. Tommy Cananza saying, exactly, Gary. But then, Gary, I would have to say this. If the Dallas Cowboys lose in a shootout, it's not Dak Prescott's fault, right? Like this guy right here, Tony Romo, the legendary number 9. Whenever he lost in that one game, I want to say it was like 2015 or whatever, to Peyton Manning and the Broncos. It might have been 2013. That just shows how damn old I am. Where the Broncos put up 50 points and the Cowboys put up 48 points. And everyone's like, oh, that's all on Romo. Romo. When your defense is giving up the points, it's not necessarily on the quarterback, especially if your offense is scoring enough to give you an opportunity to do it. You score more than 40 points a game, you should win. That's the same thing with the Dallas Cowboys. If this team is able to score more than 24 points a game, close to 30 points a game, then that means their defense better not be giving up that same amount as well. Gary Bryant saying, I really believe Tyler Guyton will be better at right tackle. I think former offensive line coach messed up his development. I think that as well. I kind of picture him being more of an interior guy, but if he's going to be at right tackle, I think that would be good for him. You just move Terrence Steele over to left tackle. You should be okay right there. Augustine Pimentel saying they already had a potent offense. They need a defense. Duh. And that's what they did. They went out and in free agency, let's not forget, in free agency, they addressed their defensive line. They went out and they made sure that they got depth along the defensive line. Big, beefy men. Remember, that's what they went out and they targeted, was big, beefy men. They got that. They draft a new edge rusher to help out, right? They keep Oso Odigizua as well to be on the team. They have Micah Parsons. They're more than likely going to find a way to keep Micah Parsons on the Dallas Cowboys for long term. They've done what they've needed to do. They addressed the linebacking core in the draft. They still, to me, have a good secondary. They've got better in the secondary with the draft as well. I like what I'm seeing out of the Dallas Cowboys. I like that they have addressed their issues. Now I get it. You're going to say, well, Tip, you're a Cowboys fan. You're looking at this team through your rose-colored lenses, and maybe I am. But you know as well as I do when the offseason began that I was the most pessimistic person with this Dallas Cowboys team. I was the one saying 0-17. I wanted the 0-17. I needed the 0-17. Let's rebuild. I don't care how close we think we are now. Let's rebuild. This trade of George Pickens gives the Dallas Cowboys a more dynamic offense with a better, hopefully, defense. If the Cowboys are able to be any kind of decent against the run, they'll be okay. And you have to remember what Dallas's defense hung their hat on over the last couple of years whenever they had a top 10, top 5 defense for the last 3 out of 4 years. It was the fact that you couldn't keep up scoring points with the Dallas Cowboys. You couldn't beat this team passing the ball against them. Because when the Cowboys got a lead and Micah Parsons could just pin his ear back, and then you can worry about maybe Trayvon Diggs takes a gamble at an interception. Deron Bland can take a gamble at an interception. Let's not forget back-to-back seasons. Those two guys led the NFL in interceptions. Who do you throw against in that type of defense with the Dallas Cowboys? Get a lead, and that defense can hold a lead for you. Tommy Canazzo saying, I definitely think we upgraded in the offensive line. Zach Martin is a Hall of Famer, but he was on the decline. I agree with that as well. He was always getting hurt. Gary Bryant saying, but Tip, you know how that goes. If the team wins, the quarterback gets the credit. When they lose, the quarterback gets the blame, whether it's warranted or not. I totally get that. But we can't blame it all on Dak. Like, there has to be nuance here. You got to remember, wins and losses are not a quarterback stat. Wins and losses are not a quarterback stat. It doesn't matter how the team loses. It shouldn't be blamed 100% on the quarterback, at least not in my opinion. I get it. Dak Prescott is going to lend himself to be blamed for a lot of stuff. But again, I'm excited. It's been a while since I got to wear all the Dallas Cowboys stuff and be genuinely excited as a Dallas Cowboys fan. You can see the excitement in my face. I'm actually smiling. This isn't me being the Tim Duncan type of person that I normally am, where it's like, no, I'm very excited right now. This is one of the coolest moments that I can think of in recent sports memory for me as a sports fan. That's normally me. Today, very, very excited. And the reason why I'm excited about this is because Jerry Jones said a couple of weeks ago that there were going to be substantive trades that were going to be made for the Dallas Cowboys, and we all kind of laughed at that. We're like, sure, Jerry. And then you started hearing the rumblings about George Pickens, and I didn't want to get too excited about the possibility of getting George Pickens. I didn't want to get too excited about maybe, just maybe, the Cowboys are going to do something where it makes me as a sports fan feel good. I need my feel good. But it actually happened this time. Not like last year where Jerry Jones said we're all in and then did absolutely nothing. This year, the Dallas Cowboys, they make a trade, they get themselves some George Pickens. And it's going to be something that to me is super beneficial for the Dallas Cowboys. The news had come out that if Ted McMillan had been available and the Cowboys picked at 12 in the first round, he would have been the Dallas Cowboys' first round pick. Instead, he goes number 8 to Carolina. And from there, the Dallas Cowboys draft Tyler Booker, which again, I didn't like at the beginning. I will always say that I didn't like it at the beginning. I am contrite. Here's my contrition. I apologize for being so negative about that draft pick at the time. The Cowboys did what the Cowboys needed to do. And I think they knew that they had the ability to make this trade. It was just getting Pittsburgh to finally agree to the trade. The trade happens. Dallas Cowboys get themselves George Pickens. And this is the thing is he's only been in the league for 3 years. He's still on his rookie contract. This is the last year of the rookie contract. I'd like to see if Dallas can extend him out because I think that it can be more than 1 year. The window for the Dallas Cowboys, if they get George Pickens, is more than 1 year. You have to capitalize on that, and you have enough money now where you can pay Micah Parsons what he needs to be paid, restructure a deal with George Pickens to make him one of the better paid wide receivers. Obviously, he's not going to be paid like CeeDee Lamb, but pay him a decent amount of money and hopefully have this thing riding off into the sunset over the next couple of years. If this is only a 1 year experiment for the Dallas Cowboys, then they need to capitalize on it and they need to find a way. Like now the pressure's on, right? I felt like coming into this season, there wasn't going to be a whole bunch of pressure on the Dallas Cowboys. Now the pressure is on. Now the pressure is there for the Dallas Cowboys to succeed. And we've seen this team time and time again crumble under pressure. So I'm going to be watching them, see what it's like, because you've already been surpassed on paper by Philadelphia, by Washington. The Giants maybe got a little bit better, right? You can no longer be fine with being the third place team in that division. You can no longer be fine with just making it to the wild card. The NFC East needs to look just like the NFC North did last year, where you had teams cannibalizing each other. I don't think there's going to be 15-win teams and 14-win teams, but it's going to be a very close division between three teams, or it should be at least. And this move for the Dallas Cowboys helps solidify that, okay, maybe, just maybe, they're doing enough to try Now I feel like I don't have sound anymore. Do I have sound? Testing 1, 2, 3. It says that I have sound, but I just can't hear the sound. So if I do have sound, please let me know. If I don't have sound, then we're going to have to see what happens here. Tommy Canon's saying this is the type of move that I've been waiting for years. Exactly. You finally got yourself a big named wide receiver. Okay, I do have sound. Thank you, Tommy. Someone sent me a message right now saying that I didn't have sound. So I got to start panicking on all this stuff. It happens one time. Look what happens. I know people mess with me. They see how I act. Augustine saying, thanks, Roku, for shutting him up on the Cowboys. I'm not going to shut up on the Cowboys. This is a great move for the Dallas Cowboys. This has been a fantastic move for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm excited to see what happens with this season. I finally, I told y'all. I told y'all from before to now to all this other stuff. I ride the roller coaster. I ride the roller coaster. And right now, it's going to be very difficult for me to jump off the roller coaster the way that it was before. I was waiting for a move. I was waiting for the move. The Cricket Commission saying they're trying to stop what we all know is coming. They are trying to stop what we all know is coming. This is, I said it facetiously earlier whenever I didn't have sound. This is the way I started the show was thank you. Like we're on Roku, we're on this, we're on that, we're on all the various social media platforms. This pick right here makes me feel very optimistic for the Dallas Cowboys. This is our year. Obviously, you guys know I don't believe that. I got to watch what happens for the rest of the season, but I'm optimistic now. And that was the issue that I had, is I didn't have a lot of optimism for the Dallas Cowboys. I finally have that optimism. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what this season brings. Just as excited as I know all of you are for Just the Tip.
I just want to put the tip in.
It's time for
Just the Tip.
That would make me uncomfortable.
Promise that it ain't too much, but just enough. Just a tip. Just a tip.
Just the tip. Just the tip.
It's time for Just the Tip.
Just the Tip is brought to you by www.myhappynuts.com. That's www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton. Use promo code Mike Tipton at checkout and save on all your male grooming needs. The summer's coming up. It's getting hotter out there, which means it's getting hotter down there. So what you need to do is make sure you're taking care of yourself with the My Happy Nuts Comfort Cream, making sure everything is good with yourself. Go get that bulber. Make sure everything is nice and trimmed to your liking. Don't be a nasty ass. www.myhappynuts.com. Use promo code Mike Tipton at checkout and save on all of your male grooming needs. Tommy Canazza hit the nail right on the head, saying it's time for Just the Tip. It is exactly time for Just the Tip. The Crooked Commish, they weren't able to stop that one. So we're good to go, baby. We are good to go on that. Okay, so I know we spent the first half hour, talking about the Dallas Cowboys and them drafting or trading for George Pickens. But there was a lot of other stuff that happened in the world of sports yesterday, of course, with the in the NBA. As we're currently in the NBA playoffs, the Indiana Pacers get a huge 120-119 win over the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland with a 7-point lead with 40 seconds left in the game finds a way to blow that lead. Just bad offense, not able to get the ball in on any inbounds. Used all their timeouts, so they didn't have a challenge that they would have won towards the end of the game. Tyrese Halliburton misses a free throw with a couple of seconds left in the game, gets his own rebound, runs the ball out into the three-point line, and then drains a dead away straight on three. Drains that to get themselves a 120-119 win. That was such a fun game, and I feel like I can't, for the life of me, I cannot seem to get anything right in this series. I thought Cleveland was going to easily win this series. Indiana showing that they are much better than what I thought they were, much better than what a lot of other people thought they were. Indiana's a fun team to watch. Now, obviously, there was no Evan Mobley. There was no Darius Garland. Cleveland dealing with some injuries right now. Tommy Canazza saying, who cares? We got George Pickens, baby. That's also such a very old name, George Pickens. I feel like that's a name of someone that you would see in like a 1920s movie. Why? I believe you're going over there with George Pickens, aren't you? George Pickens, that scoundrel. It just sounds like a very old name. Nonetheless, the Cowboys did get George Pickens. It's a great move for the Dallas Cowboys, just like it's a great move for the Indiana Pacers to be up 120-119 over the Cleveland Cavaliers, getting themselves now a 2-0 series lead. Cleveland has to find a way to do something in Indiana. They cannot afford to go down 3-1. We see what happens here, so they have to find a way to win both games in Indiana. That's going to be such a fun series to watch. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see what happens with that one. Another series that I've been excited to watch. Guys, I told you yesterday, I hope you bet with me. I really hope you bet with me. I told you the 8.5-point difference or the 6.5-point difference that Minnesota was getting over the Golden State Warriors was disrespectful to the Golden State Warriors. I bet the Golden State Warriors to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves outright on the money line. So I got myself a little nice payout on that one as the Golden State Warriors win 99-88. The issue with this, though, is that in that game right before halftime, Steph Curry goes down with a hamstring injury. And with that hamstring injury comes a lot of questions, right? Because how quickly can this hamstring injury, how quickly can he get over that hamstring injury for Steph Curry? And if you're watching the game, he actually had himself a pretty damn good game. I want to say it was 13 points in 13 minutes. So he was on one. He was starting to go. He was starting to feel it. Ultimately, he goes down. Buddy Hield, Jimmy Butler, they all step up and they start, doing what they got to do for the Warriors, right? If there was ever a game that Minnesota should have won, it's the game that Steph Curry is injured in. It's the game that Steph Curry isn't there to be his best in. And Minnesota wasn't able to win that game. Minnesota winds up losing 99-88, losing by 11 points to a team that didn't have Steph Curry. This is what we were talking about with the Lakers and Timberwolves series, is it wasn't going to be a fun series to watch because Minnesota isn't a championship caliber team. I like Naz Reid. I like Julius Randle. I like their team. They just aren't at that step right now. I don't know what the step is, but a championship caliber team when you see them. And to me, Minnesota is not a championship caliber team. Just flatly, they're not. I don't know what it is about them that makes me say that, but you see this performance. Steph Curry goes down in the second quarter, and you only score 11 points in the second quarter. 11 points in the second quarter. It took up to 3 minutes left in the game. 9 minutes had gone, or in the half rather. 9 minutes had gone through the second quarter for you to get your second field goal of the quarter without Steph Curry being there, without any real, offensive threat. Yes, they have Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's not Steph Curry. We were talking about this yesterday. Who changed the game of basketball? It wasn't Buddy Hield. It wasn't Jimmy Butler. It wasn't Guy Santos. It wasn't any of these guys. I said Guy Santos just because I wanted to say that name this entire time. He doesn't get enough love for having a great name. It wasn't any of those guys that changed basketball. It was Steph Curry. And you couldn't find a way to capitalize on Steph Curry not being there? Shaq said it during halftime. All he's going to do is put some icy hot in it, icy hot on the back of that leg, and he'll be all right. Man. The Golden State Warriors pulling that out, doing what they have to do, getting home court advantage away from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Such a great game. I hope that y'all stayed up and watched that game. I was tired. I was tired by the time that game ended. Just letting me know that I'm becoming an old man. Steph Curry's status for game 2 is in doubt right now. And you kind of hope that it's not. You hope that it doesn't go that way, right? Like you hope that Steph is able to get his thing going. Later on today, we have the New York Knicks taking on the Boston Celtics. Boston now down 0-1 following that epic collapse where they had themselves a 20-point lead in the second half of their game, winds up losing it to New York. New York and Boston. That game happening tonight. I want to say on TNT, but we'll double check that. That's going to be on ESPN. Both games are going to be – actually, no, they're both on TNT. Never mind. I'm drunk. I think that's what's happening right now. I can't see right now. New York and Boston. Boston a 10.5-point favorite. I'm taking Boston in this one. I can't see back-to-back games where the Boston Celtics just shit the bed, sorry, Roku, for lack of a better term, and they're not able to do what they need to do to be better. They're not going to miss an NBA record 45 threes, right? Like you always have that one game in the series where you miss all of your shots I don't think that's going to happen again. I don't think they're going to miss, once again, an NBA record 45 three-pointers. It's not going to happen that way. They live and die by the three, so they have to find a way to get their shots falling for them, especially while they're at home. I'm looking for Boston to win this game. I think that they can cover the 10.5-point spread, but if I've got a little bit, I might just put something down on New York covering that spread. 10.5 points in the playoffs, it's a little hard to get to, especially in scrub time, where they might have just a couple of baskets that fall here and there, and you're fine winning by 7. Another game happening today, Denver and Oklahoma City. The basketball playing gallon of heavy whipping cream, Nikola Jokic, taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think Oklahoma City is in trouble. If Denver wins this game, this series is over. Flat out. If Denver wins this game, the series is over. Because it would be stealing both games on the road in Oklahoma City, where the Thunder have been a 9.5-point favorite the whole time. They're a 10.5-point favorite today. And again, I find that number to be absolutely disrespectful to the Denver Nuggets. They are not going to blow out the Denver Nuggets. That team is so damn good that there's not going to be any way in hell that they're going to lose by 10.5 points. I know Oklahoma City was winning games in the regular season by an average of 12.5 points. They won all the games against the Memphis Grizzlies by an average of 19.5 points. This isn't – the Denver Nuggets are not the Memphis Grizzlies. The Denver Nuggets are not a team that you just face one time in the regular season and maybe anything happens. We don't care about what the score is or any of that stuff. The Denver Nuggets are a championship caliber team with the best player in the NBA on that team. That basketball playing gallon of heavy whipping cream, Nikola Jokic, is the best player in the NBA. 42 points and 22 rebounds in game 1. And this is with Augustine telling me, oh, he's not even playing, like he's not playing hard. He looks so out of shape. He's so fat. He can't run. He can't jump. He can't do any of this stuff. 42 points, 22 rebounds. And without him, the Nuggets don't win the game. Aaron Gordon hits that game-winning 3. Beautiful shot that goes in. Without Nikola Jokic, there's no way that they win this game. And there's nobody on Oklahoma City that can guard Nikola Jokic. There's nobody in the NBA that can guard Nikola Jokic. Hartenstein can try. He's still too small. Chet Holmgren looks like a stick next to him. No one on that team with Oklahoma City can guard Nikola Jokic, and I wouldn't be surprised if he winds up averaging a triple-double in this series. I don't think he's going to have as much points today as he did on Monday, but I can see a scenario where Nikola Jokic has a triple-double today, Jamal Murray has close to 40 points, and they're such a well-balanced team. The Denver Nuggets are. That 10.5 points being the line, being the spread here, go to BetUS, go to Bovada.lv, whatever it is that you got to do, and just hammer that Denver is going to cover that 10.5-point spread. Today will be the day I get it wrong and Denver loses by 45 or something like that. It would be that way. Remember, it's betting advice. Don't take betting advice from a lot of people. I will say I'm doing halfway decent with my picks, though. The interesting thing, though, about this NBA playoff so far is that we've had 5 NBA playoff games in this second round, and all 5 road teams won, right? Like Denver won on the road, Boston lost at home to New York, Indiana won on the road twice, and yesterday Golden State beats Minnesota on the road. And this is coming off the heels of me saying that there was such a thing as home court advantage in the NBA. And I'm really starting to feel like, man, I got that wrong. Augustine saying it's Tipton versus the world. It always feels that way, my guy. What are you talking about? It always feels that way. TIP versus the world. We got this. But I've been okay. I did halfway decent with the majority of my picks. Once again, we won 5 out of 8. 5 out of 8. That ain't terrible. That ain't great, but it ain't terrible. And a lot of people don't know this, but the best gamblers in the world win at a 58% clip. That's one of the weirdest stats that I've ever heard, was that the best gamblers in the world win at a 58% clip. So yes, it is me versus the world. We'll see how we do here. All 5 road teams have won. I feel like that's going to come to an end today because, like I said, I think Boston wins versus New York later on today. That game at 5 p.m. Mountain Time on TNT. Then you got Denver and Oklahoma City tipping off at 7:30 Mountain Time on TNT as well. I like the earlier games. Last night I was on the struggle bus up until 10:30 or so watching that game. It was a fun game, but you kind of knew what was going to happen in it. Going back over to ESPN's website, let's find out what's going on in the world of sports. The Jacksonville Jaguars have released wide receiver Gabe Davis. They absorbed a $20.3 million dead cap hit. And I heard about this earlier and thought to myself, how awesome would it be if Gabe Davis went back to Buffalo, where he had his best seasons with him in Buffalo with the Buffalo Bills. He had a $1.5 million salary and a $10 million option bonus that were fully guaranteed for 2025. But the move means the Jaguars will absorb that $20.3 million in dead cap space. They had guaranteed him $24 million when they signed him last season. So just last season, they signed Gabe Davis to a contract and they say, we're moving on. Not too sure I understand what Jacksonville is doing here, because I feel like you need more weapons for Trevor Lawrence. But nonetheless, you do what it is that you got to do. I would like to see Gabe Davis maybe, just maybe, go back to Buffalo, team up with Josh Allen, and see how it goes with there. And you know what, Tommy? That crossed my mind as well. Tommy can also saying, come on down to Dallas, Gabe. We'll give you the vet minimum. I mean, that's all he needs, right? And can Gabe Davis as a third wide receiving option? Damn it, Tommy, you're making me think about it. You're really making me think about it. If Jerry Jones finds a way to pull that one off, that would be interesting. Maybe Jacksonville's going to go out and target someone like Amari Cooper. I believe we still have some pretty decent free agents that are still out there. I'm going to be looking this up real quick here. All the available free agents. We still have Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, a whole bunch of wide receivers that no one knows the name of. Allen Robinson is in there. Jamison Crowder. Nelson Aguilar. I wouldn't want Nelson Aguilar. Now Gabe Davis is on that list. DJ Chark is on that list. Tyler Boyd is on that list. I mean, it would be interesting. It would be interesting to see what happens with Gabe Davis. Like I said, if he goes down to or goes up to Buffalo one more time to try to run it back with the Buffalo Bills, I could see the Buffalo Bills doing that. But I would also be interested to see if he goes to Dallas and joins the Dallas Cowboys in there. Tommy Canazza saying, I'll take any of those guys. Let's load up on this wide receiver room. I got to see, because I think I know the Dallas Cowboys roster is kind of what I'm wanting to look at right here. See what wide receivers the Dallas Cowboys currently have. I know it's CeeDee Lamb. I know it's going to be George Pickens. Once again, the oldest name of a young guy. I completely forgot about that. They still have Kevontae Turpin. They still have Jalen Tolbert, Jonathan Mingo. I like Jonathan Mingo. I think they'll be okay with Jonathan Mingo. Augustine Pimentel saying, man, this show is Cowboy centric. Sounds broke back. Sounds like you're jealous and your mouth is watering. Of course it's going to be Cowboy centric. They made such a big trade today, man. That's the biggest trade in the NFL so far this season is the Dallas Cowboys doing what they've just done. So I don't know how you can hate on, people talking about the Dallas Cowboys. If your mouth is watering, then your mouth is watering. I apologize, Augustine. I don't know what else to tell you. Jalen Brooks, Paris Campbell, Ryan Flournoy, Kelvin Harmon, CeeDee Lamb, Jonathan Mingo, Jalen Cooper, Seth Williams, and now you add in George Pickens on that list. You know what? I don't think you need to add Gabe Davis or Amari Cooper or anyone else like that. Like I kind of like what they're at now that they have George Pickens there. I don't think you need to necessarily add another wide receiving option. I kind of like what the Cowboys wide receiving room looks like right now. Like, I like Jonathan Mingo. Tommy Canonta saying Jalen Tolbert, Turpin, Mingo are the only guys that are guaranteed roster spots. Cooper and Allen can take any of those guys' spots. And then, of course, you got Josh Kelly yesterday. Like, again, like I like Josh Kelly. I think that he could be like your fifth wide receiver. I think that's where he should be, is like your fourth or fifth wide receiver in the room. He's a possession guy, just like Noah Brown. He's a possession guy. But I don't see Gabe Davis having to be on the team, right? Like, you put Kevontae Turpin in that slot, or even Jalen Tolbert or anyone like that. Like, I think I'd be happy with that. I genuinely think that I'd be happy with that. Like, they're both young, right? Like, that's the thing with it. Tommy Canonsa saying, I like Turpin, but other than that, I'm looking to upgrade. I get it. Maybe you just put Turpin in as a punt returner. Tommy Canonsa saying, I like Josh Kelly yesterday. No longer needed, though. Thanks, but no thanks, Josh. We'll see you later. It's time to move on. Look, we're moving on now. Gas is $1.98. Never say never. That's what I always say. Never say never. I can talk about that idiot all day, but we're not going to do that right now because we are live on Roku, National Streaming Sports. Check out our friends over at National Streaming Sports. A little later on today, I'll be joining Sonia Pearson and the crew as we do the National Professional Sports Show and all of the fun stuff. So please tune in then if you have the opportunity to do so. Okay, everyone, I want to thank you so much for tuning into today's show. I know they're starting to be a little bit shorter. That's because I'm working on a couple of other things that I'm trying to bring here to the show, as far as like little skits and things like that we got to do, because man, it gets rough trying to talk basketball and nobody is reacting. Nobody is commenting on any of the stuff. I mentioned the one word Dallas Cowboys, 2 words Dallas Cowboys, and everyone gets interested. Augustine's mouth starts watering because all he keeps thinking about is big, beefy men. Once again, everyone, I want to thank you so much for being a part of today's show. We'll see you tomorrow on Thursday. You all know there are hundreds of betting sites out there, but don't be fooled. Some sites are legal in some states only. Some sites pay in Bitcoin, and some sites have even been hacked. However, BetUS has been in business for over 30 years. They have future bets that are paying out in the thousands, and there's still time for you to bet on the Super Bowl, the National Championship, and even the NBA Championship. Just use the QR code right here, and it'll take you to the BetUS site. BetUS. Check it out and bet responsibly. Are you a fellow car guy? I have a 2008 Ford Mustang GT convertible, and nothing makes me happier in that car than when it's nice and clean. And you know who helps me get there? RevAutoCarCare.com. They help me get that pony looking as nice and shiny and ready for any of the car meetups that are all around the great city of El Paso. Spoil your car and go to RevAutoCarCare.com/Tipton and view all the inventory they have and find out what works for you to help make your ride shine. RevAutoCarCare.com/Tipton. Use promo code Tipton33 at checkout to save 15%.